in to the Sactown Sports Kings recap. My name is Chris Watkins. Thank you so much for joining on tonight's game. It was, you know that was a taste of playoff basketball for the Sacramento. They got full that they can get to with the addition of Kevin Durant at the trade deadline. This wasn't even the Phoenix Suns at absolute full tilt. I mean, when you consider the fact that they still have Kevin Durant to add as a weapon to this team on top of what they showed tonight, I mean, this team is absolutely going to be a handful in the Western Conference. And I know Denver has really done well to separate themselves atop the Western Conference so far this year, but with what Phoenix showed tonight, with Devin Booker getting more and more comfortable after coming back from injury, DeAndre Ayton has put together now 5 straight games of just absolute dominant performances. And then, Chris Paul even tonight had himself a game. Chris Paul we all know what Chris Paul has done throughout his career. He's been, a top 3-point guard in this league for pretty much the past 15 years. And we're finally starting to see some decline from him in his career. And then he gives us a night like tonight where he puts up 17 points, 19 assists. It was happened in the first half. I thought, especially in that first, my main thoughts were just what was an assassin in the paint and getting mid-range shots. DeAndre Ayton looked unstoppable at multiple points during this game. I thought Ayton was incredibly efficient. He was 13 of 17 from the field, didn't miss much of anything, and looked like he was towering above Domantas Sabonis, who, credit to him, I guess. I think Sabonis had a really physical game, and like I mentioned, this was kind of another test of a playoff physical like performance against an opponent for the Sacramento Kings. So it's good that they're getting these kind of reps and this kind of trial by fire in terms of physicality, and hopefully the playoffs they'll have some semblance of what a playoff physicality will be like. But you'd like to see them come on top today, but at the end of the day, Phoenix was the better squad throughout the entire night. And they get the win 120-109. Again, welcome all to the Sactown Sports Kings recap show. Please be sure to hit the thumbs up. It helps a lot spread the word that we're doing this, and helps my bosses know that I'm doing a good job, and you guys are having fun, even though the Kings don't get the result tonight. I'm curious who your most valuable player was tonight. Who did you think had the most impact on tonight's game? I thought De'Aaron Fox, coming off of one of his best performances, not only of the season, but of his career against the Dallas Mavericks the other day. He came out again tonight with another 30-piece, 35 points, 30 points through 3 quarters. Him and Domantas Sabonis were incredible at getting to the free throw line tonight. They combined for 17 of 18 from the free throw line tonight, so that was great to see. It was really cool to see, De'Aaron Fox and Devin Booker really go head-to-head as stars of their team, both putting up over 30-point performances. But Devin Booker just had a little bit more help tonight. And, again, my big takeaway from tonight's game is just how incredibly impressed I was with Phoenix. And, again, like the fact that they have Kevin Durant just waiting in the wings, no pun intended. It's going to be tough. This is a team that is, I can confidently say, with their playoff experience as well on top of it, they're a better team than the Sacramento Kings. And if the Kings play them in the playoffs, fun. We saw tonight that it'll be a physical series for sure. But I just think Phoenix has too much talent, and at the end of the day, too many bucket getters. I mean, we saw Chris Paul tonight hit one of the more clutch shots in the corner. He's somebody who's shown the ability to hit clutch shots and some mid-range shots. Devin Booker is one of the best shot makers in this league and an incredible mid-range jump shooter. And then you get the point. Kevin Durant, you throw him on top of that. He's one of the best scorers this league has ever seen, point blank, period. And his mid range game is also some of the best that we have seen in the history of this game. So when you put all of that together, if you get into too many shootouts against Phoenix, they just have so many weapons. I think it's going to be really, really tough to get this team out in a 7-game series. So I come out of this performance incredibly impressed with Phoenix. Kings, again, cannot beat Phoenix. This is the second time these two teams have played this season. One of 3 teams that Western Conference teams that the Kings have yet to defeat so far this season. It is Phoenix, New Orleans Pelicans, and why can I not think of the last one? Because it's Phoenix, New Orleans, and the Trailblazers as well are the 3 Western Conference opponents. The Kings have yet to defeat so far this season. Let's see, anybody else? Kevin Huerter had himself a great day today. He was 4 of 9 from 3. He's getting ramped up for the 3-point shootout down in Salt Lake City, which me and my buddy Frankie Cardicelli will be down in Utah for. So if you want, all exclusive coverage on what the guys are doing for the weekend and, any media scrums or anything like that, we'll be sure to have it right here on Sactown Sports 1140. So be sure to look out for that. Kevin Huerter was really good to see him knock down his shot. He's been struggling a lot recently, and it was good to see him kind of end the All-Star break on a high. Terrence Davis as well. Terrence has played a lot of minutes with Malik Monk out these past few games. I've really liked what I've seen from TD these past few games, especially defensively. I think he brings something that is much needed on this team, just a level of intensity. I don't think he's the greatest defender in the world, but how many times has it been said that defense is a huge part of defense is just effort? And I think Terrence TD has absolutely given that in this little stint that he's given here. And he's also shown the ability to get buckets, which is just as important for this team as well, because they're not a great defensive team as a whole. So if you're going to stay on the floor, defense is nice, but you need to be adding to the team's offense as well. So I really like what I've seen from TD, and I'll be curious to see, with 20 or 30, 22 games. I think they're 58 games in right now, 59 games in. So with about 20 plus games to go, it's going to be really important for Mike Brown to kind of shore up his rotations. In the playoffs, you shrink your rotation down. I imagine at the moment he's got 7 guys that he feels good about with his starting 5, Malik Monk and Davion Mitchell. Those 7 feel pretty solid in terms of the Kings' core rotation. But I think Terrence Davis and Chimezie Metu, Trey Lyles maybe even is sitting on the outside. Trey is probably in there as well. But Mike Brown's got some decisions to make in terms of shortening that rotation. And so these next 20 games, if TD can give that kind of defensive effort and give that defensive look, it'll be interesting to see if Mike rewards him with some postseason minutes as well. So that is absolutely something that I'll be looking out for the second half of this season, last third of this season. Because we know that Malik Monk really doesn't provide that defensive punch. And we've also seen Malik Monk be incredibly streaky at times offensively. And so if he's going to be, that streaky offense, TD provides you with that offensive punch, and he also provides you with a little bit more size and potential defensive effort. So, if that's going to be the case and Malik is inconsistent leading into the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised to see TD get a little extended look there. So that's absolutely something to monitor tonight, or I'm sorry, not tonight, monitor moving forward. I did want to mention tonight was the first time that we got to see Kessler Edwards in a Sacramento Kings uniform and on the floor as well. Kessler Edwards gave 10 minutes tonight. In his first little stint, he came in late third quarter for about the last 4 minutes of that. And I don't think he touched the ball offensively at all. I think he got a defensive rebound, if I'm not mistaken, in that time. I think it was the first thing he did. I think he came in got a defensive rebound, passed it out. I don't think he touched the ball offensively for the rest of the quarter, but still managed to make an imprint and show something, show a piece of his game. I think the Mike Brown trusted him 100%, threw him out on Devin Booker. We saw him guarding Devin Booker for a majority of his time out on the floor, and I think he gave him a good look. And if Kessler is going to get minutes at all with this team, it's going to start on that defensive end, because he's a 6'8" guy who's athletic and springy and can provide some length and can hopefully be somebody that Mike can look to stick on some guys that are giving us buckets and give us a different look, and somebody with some real size and athleticism to stick on guys like Devin Booker. So I thought that was interesting. I really liked his minutes tonight. I'd be encouraged to give him another look on the other side of the All-Star break if I'm Mike Brown. So it should be nice to see how Kessler Edwards could potentially fit into this rotation as well. Megan, yes, he did have a couple assists tonight. Kessler had 2 assists tonight. I don't remember if there were anything special. I can't remember if they were just like him pinging the ball around, or if it was him off a drive and kick. But he did finish with 2 assists tonight, so that's also great to see him finding ways to affect the game offensively without scoring, because that is absolutely important as well. You don't have to just be, you don't have to be a shooter. That doesn't have to be your way of being the defensive asset on the floor. You don't have to be the guy who just sits in the corner and spots up and takes corner threes. You can be somebody who just makes smart basketball plays out there. It's not about necessarily stretching the floor if you can still have the ability to make decisions as well. And that'll be interesting to see where Kessler falls there. I think I know he took at least 1 3. So his only shot tonight was a 3-point attempt that he looked fairly confident taking. It was a good look, good decision. Didn't have any problem with the shot that he took. Just didn't knock it down, which is totally fine. But I really like the minutes that we saw from Kessler Edwards. A developing story here, something I've been talking about, what I feel like just about every time I hop on this mic is the Davion Mitchell story. And tonight the plot thickens even more as he gets 9 minutes in tonight's matchup. Obviously, Davion did fall into a little bit of foul trouble tonight, picking up 2 fouls in that second quarter. But Davion getting less minutes than everybody else who played today, with the exception of Keon Ellis, who came in at the end, and Matthew Dellavedova and the guys who came in at the end. Davion only 9 minutes, gets less minutes than Kessler Edwards, gets less minutes than Chimezie Metu tonight. He finishes 0 of 3, 1 rebound, no assists, a steal, and 2 fouls as well. So Davion struggling to find his offensive game. A lot was made of the Kings really needing a backup center. It'll be interesting going into this offseason, depending on how Davion finishes this season and how he performs in a potential playoff series as well. If the Kings, if Davion Mitchell is the backup point guard of the future for this team, something, I don't know how many people are ready for that, but I think, we could be potentially seeing the last 20 games of Davion Mitchell in a Kings jersey if he can't turn things around, because only getting 9 minutes is how coaches really spread messages and or send messages to their guys. And the fact that Davion, has consistently seen his minutes declining throughout this season and has kind of pretty consistently found himself averaging 15 or less minutes, it kind of tells me a lot about how Mike Brown feels about what Davion brings. Not that, this is not me trying to crap on Davion or anything like that. It's just, his defense is incredible. Every time Davion Mitchell is on the floor, he makes a huge impact on the defensive end. He really does. And, he's just as advertised in terms of an on-ball defender. He brings it every single game, and he really does have a huge impact on the ball, but it's just every other part of his game, I think, leaves a lot to be, or, I shouldn't say a lot, leaves some things to be desired. So that is absolutely something that I monitor throughout the remainder of this season. Let's see here. Let's look through the comments. Interesting here. 21 minutes for Keegan tonight. That is interesting. Tough to win Rookie of the Year, dropping 6 points for sure. I don't think Keegan is realistically in any race for Rookie of the Year, but yeah, it for sure. You have to mention Keegan's slow night tonight. I will say 6 assists for Keegan Murray might be a career high, if I'm not mistaken. If I can just quickly zoom through some of his games, I believe 6 assists. It is. So Keegan Murray with a career high in assists tonight. Very, very sneaky there. He gets 6 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists for Keegan. But I completely agree with you. I don't think I don't think Keegan had a good game today. And Harrison Barnes as well. I think Harrison didn't really show up tonight, didn't really make that big of an impact. He finishes off with 11 points and 2 rebounds. If you're gonna get those from your forwards, just two whatever performances from your 2 forwards, it's gonna be tough for them to win games. And tonight really didn't have that offensive punch. Didn't feel like the Kings could really get into any sense of offensive rhythm. It was great to see Sabonis and Fox get to the line as much as they were, and it was interesting to see if they could maybe win this basketball game in a different way than they traditionally do, with them kind of playing almost more like a James Harden, Joel Embiid kind of down and kind of win through that way. But just win tonight, didn't get enough from everybody else. 30 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Sabonis put up really good numbers, but this is kind of, again, another game where I find that I don't think his numbers really jump off the page. 24 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists. Incredible numbers, but I just don't feel like his impact on the game was really as great as I've seen it before. It's incredibly high standard that we hold for a player like Domas, so it's not really fair to him, but would have liked to see him have a little bit more impact, especially defensively, kind of trying to control DeAndre Ayton a little bit more. But regardless, it was a good performance. Domas showed up, absolutely did his job on the offensive end. Defensively, it's not just a him problem; it's a whole team issue. Earned a bad game. Yeah, that's interesting. Let's go to the comments here before we wrap things up. Let's see here. Do we have the pieces to play defense like Phoenix did tonight? The interesting thing about Phoenix, the way that they're built, and especially even more now. Well, I shouldn't say even more now, because Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges definitely fall into what I'm about to say, but they just have so many wing guys. Like, you look at coming off the bench, they have Damian Lee, who's a 6'7", gritty defender, but also somebody who's got some great length. Ish Wainwright is somebody that they just drafted this year. He's built like a tank. Jock Lawndale is a guy who's 6'9", got some length. TJ Warren, somebody who they just acquired, somebody who's got great length, not necessarily known as a defender. But where I'm getting at here is the Kings really are pretty guard heavy. When you look at their lineup, it's De'Aaron Fox, it's Davion Mitchell, it's Terrence Davis, it's Kevin Huerter, it's Malik Monk. Those 5 guys are all, pretty, I don't want to say small, but they're all 6'5" and below, probably 6'5" and below. And then they have Harrison Barnes and Keegan Murray, who are really their 2 guys who fit into that 6'7" and to 6'9" wing athletic guys. And no, they just aren't really built the same. To answer your question, no, they're not. They're really not built the same to guard like Phoenix, but. And they don't really have much, DeAndre Ayton by no means is, Dikembe Mutombo or Hakeem Olajuwon down there, but he's able to really give a physical, really big body threat at the rim. And, I'm looking at his stats tonight. He finishes off with 4 steals, 2 blocks. for DeAndre Ayton on top of his 29 points and 11 rebounds. So yeah, the Kings just really aren't built to guard a team like Phoenix, and those are the kind of teams we've seen them struggle with most this year. The Phoenixes, the Torontos, we've seen them struggle with Orlando before this season. The Celtics were a huge issue for the Kings. They absolutely boat raced them. Atlanta was an issue for the Kings as well, with just all of their guys who have that kind of wing 6'7" kind of length. The Kings really are lacking in that, and that's something I've been preaching for a while. And Kessler Edwards, that's why I think I was such a big fan of Kessler Edwards' play tonight. A lot I see, someone's here says Kessler Edwards was awesome. I see somebody say, I don't know if Kessler Edwards was awesome, but he did okay. I was just I'm just a really big fan of when you have that kind of length and the kind of mobility and lateral quickness that you can have at that kind of size. I just think that you're able to make such a huge impact on the game because you provide size while also providing athleticism, and you're just able to do so much on the floor in theory. Whether or not you're able to kind of mold him into something is something still to be seen. Let's see here. Can't expect the Kings to fly and run the court against all-star Suns. That's completely true. The Suns are full of stars. I will say, I don't think the Kings had a great collective team effort, especially on the offensive end as well. I think it was a lot of Domas and Fox tonight, but they were able to hang in there. I think it was clear that Phoenix was the better team of the two, and Phoenix absolutely has the more playoff and real game experience over the Kings. But the Kings were able to kind of take, I don't know if they take some haymakers, but they were able to take some punches to the chin, to the jaw, and they delivered, and they felt it, and they responded back pretty well, in my opinion. I think this game had a couple times where the Kings clawed back, and then Phoenix would kind of push them away a little bit, and there was potential for the game to get away even further than that. But every time the Kings were right there to respond and make it right back to about a 6-point game or so, but could just never really get over that hump. So, well, yes, they weren't able to really get into what they wanted to get into. And, I think Phoenix definitely did a better job of getting to spots that they wanted to and getting into their offense a little better. But the fact that the Kings were still able to fight up, fight up a weight class, I think was encouraging to see. Not that I'm not a big moral victory guy, but I guess in that sense, I will take I'll take it as a minor victory that you can at least take it and build off of it, hopefully, and not feel so dejected, because truthfully, I mean, Phoenix at the end of the day really did control this game completely, and I don't think at any point the Kings really felt like like the game was theirs for the take. I think the Kings knew that if they were going to win this game, they were going to have to rip it from the Suns' hands. And, the opportunity wasn't just going to present itself. They were really going to have to earn the victory. And I just don't think they really played well enough tonight to get that win. Let's see here. Any other comments? Keegan did start out well. He started out well. He was driving, going in for boards. But it seemed like he quit after the first quarter. I don't know if he quit after the first quarter or if they just kind of adjusted and got more physical with him. That was an incredibly physical ball game. And we can't forget that Keegan has played more basketball games this season than he has ever played in his life in a single season. So for it to be like game 60 here, it's the last game before the All-Star break. He's I don't know if he was necessarily ready for a game that physical. That would definitely, I acknowledge that might be an excuse, but I have a hard time believing that Keegan just was like just quit after after the quarter. Let's see here. Hopefully the Kings can win their home game when the Suns come to town in March. Absolutely. Hopefully that'll be the case. I think they have 2 more games against the Phoenix Suns, if I'm not mistaken. And if the Kings can manage to somehow split the season series with Phoenix, that would be massive in terms of tiebreakers. I like I mentioned, I kind of think Phoenix is going to end up passing the Kings in the overall standing, so it probably won't matter. But it's nice to own as many tiebreakers as you can. And if I'm not mistaken, I think one of the first 2 or 3 tiebreakers is your record in division. So it is important to kind of stack up wins in your division. And the Kings have one of, if not the toughest division in the NBA. Okay, I think DC here is if I'm reading this in the correct voice, I think DC is a Phoenix fan here. I don't know how we contained Fox, but we got away with a good win. Great game, Kings. We see y'all. That's good to hear. Good to see people were respecting the Kings. Obviously with them being the 3 seed here for almost a month now, the Kings have been locked into this 3 seed in the Western Conference. I think a lot of people, including myself, didn't expect them to stay at the 3 seed once they got up there, but they've been at the 3 seed as long as they have, longer than they have been at any other seed so far this season. So it's good to see that people are recognizing them and not just taking them for a nice story and okay, now, well, we'll see. I shouldn't speak too soon. We'll see now if this is real and if the Kings can really fight against these heavyweight teams, when they know that the Kings are a good team themselves. And it'll be a good test to see exactly where the Kings lie. This is interesting. This is a sneaky, great question, Mark. Mark Rodriguez poses the question: will the All-Star game give Fox an opportunity to recruit to Sacramento? I will be looking for this 100%. If there's any these kind of conversations right here where they talk or they hold the jersey up like this, I'm gonna be looking for all of that. There's sprinklings that I know. Luca is a big De'Aaron Fox fan. Him and De'Aaron have had some banter back and forth in All-Star festivities in their past. I will absolutely be looking to see also the other way around, because I don't, De'Aaron I know just signed a max contract, but we don't need this, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Anthony Davis trend of people just up and asking for them to trade me or else. Okay, I don't need De'Aaron getting that kind of energy out of nowhere. So I will absolutely be looking out for that, because All-Star Weekend and the Olympics are really the 2 big basketball events, biggest recruiting events in NBA basketball. So that is a great point, Mark. All right. With the half-hour mark creeping up here, I think I'm going to wrap this up. It's also 9:00. I got to make some Valentine's dinner here real quick. Happy Valentine's Day for everyone out there. We are heading into the All-Star break, and the Sacramento Kings, I believe, are still in the 3 seed in the Western Conference. They are still the 3 seed in the Western Conference. Great to see heading into the All-Star break. Who would have thought, especially this year, that the Kings would have this good of a season, but here we are. Again, I mentioned me and Frankie Cardicelli will be out in Salt Lake City this weekend for All-Star Weekend, giving you all coverage, everything you want to see, player interviews, practices. Well, who even knows? I don't even know what's going to go down there, but everything that does go down, you can see on my Twitter page at Chris M. Watkins, at Frankie's Twitter page at F. Cardicelli3. Also, right here, Sactown Sports at Sactown 1140 as well. And we'll probably be dropping a podcast, the Return of the Roar podcast. Please be sure to check that out. You can look at that on the Sactown Sports 1140.com, or I'm sorry, SactownSports.com, and on the podcast page, you can find Return of the Roar. We'll be out there. Thank you all so much for joining us. A little birdie told me that this is the last Sactown Sports or Kings recap that we will be doing this season. I hear it's not going to return post All-Star. We'll see. If the Kings get to the playoffs, or if things really start getting hot, something tells me that the bosses will bring this thing back. But for now, I bid you adieu. Thank you all so much for joining us. If you have joined us at any point after any Kings game so far this season, we thank you so much for tuning in and giving us your time. It's been really fun talking to you guys in the comments and just kind of going through all the highs and lows that have been the funnest and best season of Kings basketball in 16 years. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. My name is Chris Watkins. Thank you so much. Have a good night. And go Kings. Go Kevin Huerter. Go Keegan Murray. Go De'Aaron Fox. Go Domantas Sabonis. Good luck in Utah.